Hi, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome, Facebook. Welcome, Instagram. I'm here with Jamie Denyer. He is here to talk about his super powerful message, which was birthed out of his own experience. Jamie, thank you so much for being on today. You guys, if you have any questions during the broadcast, please write them in the comments below. We will answer and address your questions towards the end of the stream. So Jamie, thanks so much for coming on. Can you talk to us? Can you give my viewers a little bit of information about yourself? You guys, I'm so sorry. I'm not feeling super great. My throat is kind of bothering me today. But Jamie, can you give us a little bit of background about how your journey got started, how you ended up doing what you do, bringing your message into all of these amazing, incredible platforms that you have, speaking to kids all over the place. Talk to us about your journey, and welcome, by the way.
What an unbelievable blessing to to be here. Thank you for having me on. It's like, yeah, any chance that I get to be able to kind of give wisdom, to give knowledge, to give advice, to give it guidance, then yeah, listen, I'm all up for it. And yeah, this is just one of them opportunities. So thank you ever so much. Now, the kind of message in which I bring was I bring it from a place where I can show an example from, where it is literally turning adversity into victory, like taking any negative and turning it into a positive. And I suppose, like, going back even before, like, when my journey started, like when I look back of where I grew up, like rough council estate, listen, a lot of drug dealers, a lot of drug users around. Listen, I was witness to domestic violence. I saw 2 people murdered by the time I was like 13 years old. Listen, my dad left me. I was bullied when I was young. Listen, all this stuff. And I never let any of that stuff turn me into a person that I didn't want to be, because I deal with reasons and excuses where, listen, if you give me a good reason as to why something happens, as to why something is, then I will listen to you all day long. But so many people will hold up what they deem to be a good reason when in fact they're just excuses, because I look at all the influence in which I was around and all the kind of environment in which I was in. But I've never tried a drug in my life. I've never got involved in any form of physical violence in my life, except inside a kickboxing ring where I was semi-professional for a little while. Like, I never used that stuff. I never allowed that stuff kind of turn me into a person that I didn't want to be. So it's like, when I look back at how strong I was, when I learned the power of the word no back then, even when listen, older kids in which I was like hanging around with, like, we're talking about severe peer pressure of like me, like them wanting me to do stuff, and I was like, no, that's not for me. Why? Because I knew how that would affect my mum. I knew how that would affect my family. And it's like, in life, you have to realize that you're a representative of your family, that you're an advocate for your family. So it's like, I learned stuff back when I was young. And I suppose it was reinforcing me. It was allowing it was laying the foundations for me. It was laying the foundations for my character, and literally the pain in which I was going through at that time. And listen, like the tests and the troubles, the pain was preparing me for my purpose. And it's like, the purpose in which I'm on now. So listen, when I kind of like go through life, so when, listen, struggling with all different stuff that like teenagers and youngsters and youths kind of go through, like bullying, listen, all of these different tests and trials, like, I was going through that as well. But even the bullying now, like, I go in and I speak about bullying, and it's like, I used to get bullied because of my fashion sense back in the day. It was like, my friend's cousin lived out in the Bronx, New York, and it's like, hip hop has always been my favorite genre of music. It's like, when I was 9 years old, I went to my first Def Jam concert, and we're talking about the Beastie Boys, LL Cool J, Run DMC, Public Enemy, Derek B. Like, we're talking about Def Jam at like 9 years old. So like, that was my welcome to the whole hip hop world. So it's like, I love the hip hop fashion. So it was like, my friend's cousin, it was like he used to send over fashion from New York, and it wasn't even in the UK at that point. So I was wearing that stuff. I had a severe stutter as well. And it's like, I'm going from severe stutter to one of the most high octane, like, motivational speakers out there. You'll get more words from me per minute than anyone else out there. So it's like, don't ever think that you can't overcome anything. But also, like, I was a severe target. I was prime target. Like, the stuff that I used to wear, how I used to speak, the hairstyles that I used to have. But now, do you know what? I can go into corporate events dressed as I am. It's like, a lot of people would think, like, when I turn up at a corporate event, they might think, man, has he come to speak or rob the place? I'm not too sure. But I'm never ever going to mug you. I'm always going to hug you, if you understand. So it's like, I haven't changed who I am. And it's like people now, they may not know my name, but they say, like, who's the guy? Who's the guy that wears the tracksuits? Who's the guy that looks like a drug dealer? Who's the guy that looks like a gangster? Like, who's that guy? Like, that's the guy that I want to come in and do a talking engagement now, is because they remember me. But that has now been like a superpower of mine. It's like that now is playing to my advantage. So it was like all the stuff that I was going through at the time, I didn't realize at the time, but it was preparing me for my purpose. So listen, hardships come left, right, and center, like no matter what it is that you do, no matter what it is that you go through. And it's like when I look back, yeah, I was going through stuff like divorce, and I had gone through financial hardship at the time. I didn't want to go through it. It was very, very uncomfortable, but we have to be comfortable being uncomfortable nowadays, ladies and gentlemen. And it's like, it was still training me. It was training me for a time that there was a pivotal moment that destruction, absolutely, like devastation came to myself and my family in 2012. And it's when my 19-year-old nephew was murdered by a single punch, when he was killed by an attack that didn't need to happen. And he hit his head, died of blunt force trauma, which is severe brain damage, which literally took myself and my family to the limits, like took us to the brink. Like, we are talking emotionally, psychologically, physically, spiritually, mentally. It took us to the brink. And I saw things around me that I didn't even think that I would experience. It's like my sister and my brother-in-law, my nephew's mum and dad. Now, they had been together since they were 12 and 13. They had been married since they were 19 and 20. Do you know what I mean? They were like the first loves. And for the first time ever, they were that close to the marriage breaking up, if you understand, because this pressure came and just literally annihilated us. But because of the foundations that had been laid, like in the past, for their love and for their emotions, they withstood, and they're still together. Now they're stronger than ever. But that came about, and that's what sent me on my purpose. Although I went into the darkness, like I went into the pit, like I went into the trenches, but I now know that the trenches, although it's a very, very hostile environment, like when we look back, like to our ancestors that fought in the trenches, although it's a very hostile environment, no one wants to be in that environment. But it's an environment where battles are won, where wars are won, and ultimately where heroes were made. So if you take that analogy of life, yeah, you may be in the trenches, but it's an opportunity for you to win a battle. It's an opportunity for you to win a war and ultimately come out the other side as a hero. And it's like, when you fight these battles, when you go through these trenches, that's when you can become a hero for like the people that are looking up to you. Like, we're talking about the kids, like we're talking about your babies, and you need to show them. You need to show them what they're capable of, because they've got the same DNA as you. They've got the same heart. So when I looked around, when I got that phone call off of my sister saying you need to travel down to where they were, back to my hometown, like 4 hours away, she said, you need to get in your car now and come to the hospital because Connor has been attacked. He's in the hospital. And I thought, right, he's busted up bad because he's in the hospital, but he's in the best place because he's in the hospital. He's going to be all right. He's going to be taken care of. You know, I didn't know at that time that my sister had been given the news that he was 99% he wouldn't make it. So I didn't know that I was going down there to say my final goodbyes to my nephew. But my sister in that moment, she taught me a lesson. And it gives me no excuse. Remember I said about reasons and excuses? It gives me no excuse not to carry on. It gives me no excuse, because at that time, what she did was she made it serious enough for her baby brother, for Connor's uncle, to travel down, but she withheld the evidence. She withheld like the facts of what is. She withheld that, and she protected me from that, because if she had told me that, then I may have like driven like a lunatic, and it would have heightened my risk of like having an accident and stuff. But she wanted her baby brother, she wanted Connor's uncle there safely, because she wanted me to say like my final goodbyes. So that there showed me that you have to absorb stuff for the benefit of other people, for the people that you indeed love. So there's always a blessing in the lesson, if you understand. No matter how severe it is, you need to dig to find that lesson. You need to find the the valuable piece of information that's there. It's like, if you can imagine, like let's say, for instance, a jewelry store is just demolished, right? So it's just like loads and loads of rubble. You would go looking through the rubble for those tiny diamonds, wouldn't you? Because they're so valuable. And that's what you have to do in life, is you have to go through all the devastation and the debris in order to find the diamonds. You have to go through all that carnage in order to get the reward. So that's what was shown to me. And like I say, when I turned up, going into a hospital was one thing, but going into an intensive care unit is something completely different. Like when I walked into there, I knew that I'd walked into hell on earth, and I saw my family members surrounded my beautiful my beautiful nephew, where he had a neck brace on and the tubes were coming out of his mouth and his chest was going up and down, but that wasn't him breathing. That was the life support machine doing it for him. So I knew that life as I knew it right then had changed forever. And I needed to take on my sisters a lesson at that point, that I needed to be there for them. And again, I didn't want to go through it at that time, but it is literally a case of I was being strengthened. I was being strengthened for what was to come. So then I turned that into a positive, but not without going into the darkness, because again, my nephew, again, listen, teaching lesson. This is why this is the level of inspiration I have, right? The level of like, listen, the examples in which is set and the standard in which is set, which I have to follow in some shape, way, or form, because it was like, we didn't know as a family that my nephew at the age of 16 signed the Gift of Life organ donation register. So in 48 hours after he's taken, he saved 5 people's lives. The only organ that couldn't be used was his heart, because it was too traumatized. But what could be used was his heart valves, and they were put into storage. 7 months later, when Unc was in the darkness, Unc was in the pit, we got the news that he saved the life of a 10-month-old baby girl. And at that moment, my beautiful curly-haired princess Tilly was 10 months old. I knew what it was like to be the dad of a 10-month-old baby girl. I knew how much of a blessing and a privilege that was. So then that was kind of saying to me, Unc, listen, if you can give me a good reason as to why you can't turn this around and turn this negative into a positive, then I will listen to you all day long, Unc. But don't go giving me excuses, Unc. Listen, you may be down, but you're not out. You may be broke, but you're not broken. But listen, you can get up, dust yourself off, and let's go to work. And then it was like 3 months later, we then got the news that he saved the life of a 5-year-old boy with his other heart valve. So like there were 7 lives saved. And now with the work in which I do, like the talks in which I give, I'm literally getting feedback from kids who are saying, like adults as well, that are saying, I was thinking about committing suicide tonight. Thank you. You haven't just changed my life, but you've saved it, because tonight I was planning on committing suicide. So 2 different ways of doing it, but the same outcome. So that's how I can pay him the biggest respect. That's how I can pay him the biggest honor. And it's why people ask me, James, why is it you speak with so much power, so much authority, so much passion? It's because I speak for 2. But now the game has intensified, because I got those replies back. I got the feedback back from those youngsters saying, if it wasn't for you today, I was planning on committing suicide. You haven't changed my life. You just saved it. Now all of a sudden that has come to my door, because now I'm going out and I'm doing the work in which I'm doing in the aftermath. 5 months after the youngest of my 2 older sisters hung herself and took her own life during lockdown. So it was like that. Now again, it's devastated the family, but I now know that everything that I went through, like the divorces, like the financial hardship, was preparing me for Connor, and then another divorce has then prepared me for my sister. I know that all this pain has prepared me for my purpose, because a lot of people may see it as a burden, but I don't ask for lighter burdens. It's like, listen, give me the shoulders strong enough in which to carry it, because there are people out there suffering, and if I can be a beacon of light, then that's what I'm going to be, because I need to pay my nephew the ultimate respect. I need to live for him. I need to speak for him, and now I need to do it for my sister as well. So it's like that. There is quite literally a case of me, taking the negatives, because we have no control over what life brings us. We have no control, and it's like when Marcus Aurelius said, like the Stoic, like the Emperor of Rome, the Stoic said that we have no control over outside events, but we have control over our own mind. When you realize that, you will find strength. So it's like, you can't do anything about what comes to us, but we can do everything about how we react to it. And by reacting in this way, listen, it's not easy. It's not easy. I mean, if it was easy, then everyone would do it, right? But yeah, it's hard. But when you put in the hard work and you put in the hard work, that's when you get the reward. So that's why I've started on this journey. That's why that my purpose is so passion filled. But I need people to know that it came with a lot of pain that was preparing me for my purpose. And when I look back, way back when, I knew that I had strength of character in which to do it when I was in that environment, even when I was younger.
Wow, Jamie, that is so amazing. That's quite a story. I love what you were talking about with the with if a jewelry store was robbed or like destroyed, and you would have to go through. You would absolutely look through all of the rubble to try to find the diamonds in there, and that's what so often life gives us. It gives us a whole pile of rubble, and it's like, what do you do with it? So many times people will walk away from it saying there's nothing for me in all of that experience. And that's why we have people who either suppress what they've gone through, so they never talk about it, they never process it, and therefore they never heal from it, right? And or they try to ignore it, never happened, and that pain just speaks to them louder and louder, gets louder and louder. We have all types of issues with anxiety and depression and all kinds of stuff that happens because this stuff was suppressed. It was never addressed. It was never treated with the respect that it needed. And I love your message about the pain was preparing you for your purpose, and that was the price to pay for your purpose. See, a lot of times people don't think that either, right? That if you that the way that you get to be successful or to become a leader in your field, it just comes to you like naturally, and people don't understand that process is so grueling. It's so hard to get to where you are. Like those are the people who deserve it at the end. I think one of my favorite authors, he had said, success is a booby trap to get the people who are not meant to have it. Like the process to get to success, it is like the decoy to get people who aren't supposed to carry it to not reach it. And that is like really what you're talking about. So after your brother, or after your nephew passed on, you saw that his life was still impacting other people because he was able to donate his organs and things like that.
Yeah.
How did you start using this story? What like actually did you do? What steps did you actually take to start bringing your message into schools and eventually onto TEDx and things like that? How did you do that?
Well, I'd literally had to beg, and I had to plead, and I had to pester, because what it is, like I say, I went into that kind of 7-month darkness where I then got the news that this was still happening, and that was my nephew saying to me, "Come on, let's get real now. Like, if I can still help people and I'm not even here, like, there's no excuse for you not to do the same." So I knew that I had to kind of use my talent, like my God-given talent of like my voice. So I was literally begging schools, I was begging colleges, I was begging universities, like, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is what my message is about. Like, I want to come in and I want to speak for free. And it's like a lot of people, I was getting loads and loads and loads of like responses saying, listen, don't ever contact this school again, don't ever contact this university or this college again. We don't want this on our curriculum. Like, we haven't got that problem, we're not interested. And I didn't take it personal. In fact, I kind of used it as kind of motivation and fuel to kind of like push even harder, to pester even harder. And it was like, then I got like a couple of little breakthroughs where I would then, because it's like free of charge. Like, oh yeah, what have we got to lose? And it's like, yeah, I was willing to do that at first. So then I conducted those talks. I then got the feedback from that. And then I started showing others the feedback. And it's got to the point now that because of the engagements in which I've done, the impact in which it has, and the reputation in which I've got, that those same places, those same establishments and organizations that were saying to me, listen, don't ever contact here again, don't ever contact this place, are now contacting me to go in. So listen, don't take anything too personal. Don't take anything too personal. Exactly like you know what I mean? It's like everybody knows who Mark Zuckerberg is. Unfortunately, like, a lot of people don't know who Brian Acton is, but Brian Acton was the guy that in 2009 went for a job at Twitter, and he was told no, he wasn't good enough. He went for a job at Facebook, told no, he wasn't good enough, and he went away and he created WhatsApp. That guy, do you know what I mean? It's like 5 years later, Mark Zuckerberg was paying that guy like 19 plus $1 billion for his company. So Brian didn't take the no as a negative. It just fueled him to get to his purpose and his destiny. And it's like, yeah, those places were saying no, but it's just a case of not yet. So then, because of the reputation, it's like then you know, people were asking me to be a part of things, and it's like I was asked to be a part of a TEDx. Like a TEDx event, which again, like, is something that I was very, very honored and very, very privileged to do, because it just seems that in this world, people think to themselves, oh, that's all I've got to do is do a TEDx talk, and then all of a sudden things are going to blow up for me. Yeah, it did for people like Mel Robbins and stuff like that. But listen, because it's a wash now, with listen, talkers and stuff like that, you know, with speakers and loads of TEDx talks, it's kind of diluted a little bit. So, you know, I'm saying that don't put all your hopes and your dreams just going to do one text and then that's it. It's just, in today's day and age, it's like going back to the jewelry store. Like, people don't want to look through the debris. Like, they just want people to hand them the diamonds, if you understand. They want to put in minimum effort and get maximum reward every single time. It's like a lot of people, they won't want to put in maximum effort to get minimum reward, which is how life is. So what I'm saying is it's like when I was doing, you know, all of my talks, if I was waiting for someone to kind of pay me, like with the government funded check, like I would still be waiting now. Like, I had to go out and I had to beg, and I had to say, listen, I will come in and do this for you. So when you get asked to do something, yeah, it's like the TEDx thing is like incredible, and I'm like honored and like humbled and privileged to be able to do it. No one will be able to take that away from me. But what you have to understand is with every positive there comes a negative. It's like people will say, like, I want to be rich, I want to be famous, and that's it, and that's going to be all my problems ended. But what you have to understand is when you get that rich and that you know the rich, you become rich, you become famous, you become well known, and all this. You know, you have the glitz and the glamour. What you have to understand is then that brings extra temptations. Like, that will change you as a person. Like, the responsibilities will become higher. You will change as a person. Like, you will have people that want to take advantage of you. Like, you will have people around you that don't want to be around you for you, but because of what you got. So there's always a negative to a positive. So being asked to do something like that, yeah, it's a very, very massive positive. So it's like, when you do that, if people go onto my TEDx talk, you will see the comments below. Like, listen, 3 or 4 people say the same thing. This is the best TED talk that I've seen. Like, that's mind blowing for me. You're the best speaker I've seen. Wow, who is this guy? Like, the power, the passion, man, he's giving me goosebumps. I needed to hear this message today. Like this was God given. This was God sent. Like, I needed this stuff. Like, oh, I've never sat through a talk before, but you had me engaged from the first word. Like, who is this guy? And yeah, that's amazing. But what that does is that just purely reminds me that what I'm doing is correct, that I'm fulfilling my destiny and I'm on my life's path. But what absolutely fuels me is the other side, that when people speak about my nephew, like, listen, in my presentation, like, if you go and look at my TED talk, the photo that I show at the back, that was the last picture ever taken of my nephew, like 7 hours before his life was taken. But then when there's comments below it that say stuff like, anyone with that haircut deserves to be punched in the face, and if a boy of 14 can kill you with a single punch, then you deserve to die. That's the stuff that I have to deal with. Like, that's the stuff that you have to take. Like, you have to take the consequences of something positive by doing something positive and productive. Because listen, if you're out there doing that stuff, you will always get the people that try and drag you down. But that's the stuff that motivates me and fuels me. So don't listen, I deal in reality, I deal in authenticity, I deal in realness. So if people just think, oh yeah, do you know what? That's what I'm going to do, is go along and do a TED talk, and then my life is going to change, and like everything is going to be rosy and everything's going to be good, then you're living in a fantasy world and you're very, very delusional. So you have to start like pushing the illusions away and kind of dealing with reality. And that's what I deal in left, right, and center. And that's why people respect me, is because I don't sugarcoat anything. I bring very much the realness, very much the real picture. Because I don't want people going out there with a false sense of hope. Like, I don't want people going out there and kind of being impacted by the troubles that, not if they come, but when they come. It's not a case of if they come, it's when they come. Because listen, I'm going to coin a phrase, like I'm going to use an incredible name right now, and it's like Dr. Angel Storm, because life is the storm. You're either going towards a storm, you're in a storm, or you're coming out the other side of a storm. That's how life goes. But the level of time in between each stage of whether being in one, coming out the other side of one, or going towards one is different, and to different severities, to different people. But that's what life is. It's all about the storm. So I don't want anyone kind of going into this battle, the battle of life, unprepared and without the armor on, if you understand. It's like, it's not looking at things negatively. It's like the Stoic way of thinking that listen, if you prepare for what's coming up, then when it does happen, it doesn't impact you as much. So a lot of people say, oh yeah, but you're looking at the glass half empty, glass half empty. Listen, no, when you're dealing in reality, when that stuff hits you, listen, the impact is lessened. Because if you're just going in glass half full and thinking that nothing is going to happen, like when that problem comes around, and I'm not talking about just knocking on your door and asking to come in politely. I'm talking about this problem, this test, this trial, smashing your front door off of the hinges and coming in unannounced saying, here I am. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Because when I'm dealing with the stuff in which I'm dealing with, like youngsters who are killing themselves through being bullied, I'm sent pictures of self-harm. I'm sent stories of such devastation and such trauma and such trials and destruction and dysfunctionality that I can't deal in anything else. It's like a lot of people will come out there and give you the illusion, right? Will give you the message of the glitz and the glamour. I come from the place of the grit and the grind. People will give you the glitz and the glamour of giving you the beautiful high spec materials to build that 5-bedroom like mansion that you've already dreamed of. I'm all about the concrete. I'm all about the foundations, because I don't care who you are. I don't care what you're about. I don't care how beautiful your house looks. Nothing has ever been built without a rock solid foundation. That's what I'm all about, is get in amongst the grit and the grime, like the foundations that are unseen. You don't see the foundations because they're underground, but they are so needed. That's what you deal with people. That's how you train people. That's what you kind of educate people on. Then they can build their hopes, their dreams, and their goals on top of that. So yeah, it's very much a case of no positive comes without a negative. No good comes without a consequence. And people need to know this, because we're living in a culture and society now where, listen, it's instant. People instant, like the instant generation. It's like you can literally speak, be sat in your car, speaking to a speaker, order your food, and literally like a minute later, it's in your lap. Do you know what I mean? It's like you can see something that happens halfway around the world as it happens. It's like you don't have to wait for anything to come out on cinema anymore. You just kind of like you binge watch, like you download and you binge watch, and it's like all with this stuff. So it's like people, whether they know it or not, it's like the patience has gone, the resilience has gone completely. It's like, even how I'm communicating with you now, a lot of people, if this thing starts to buffer and it makes you wait for 10 seconds, people feel like drop kicking that thing through a window, because they get so angry, if you understand. So like the patience has gone. And this is why we're at like in a battle like never ever before, is because now, where resilience and pressure used to fight each other, and it used to be a fair fight, now there's a higher level of pressure on people nowadays, like to do with social media, like body image, listen, achieving, and listen, self-worth and value has gone down because of what they're seeing, and they're comparing themselves to other people. So the pressure is higher now. I've said that I wouldn't want to be a teenager in today's day and age for love nor money. So that has got a natural resilience has gone down. Like when we look at our grandparents, when we look at our parents, even like how they used to get through stuff, and how they were like, listen, if something isn't broke, like it doesn't need fixing. That's why I like to go back to the old ways. That's why I go back to the basics, because that stuff isn't broken. So you don't need to fix it. And that's what I mean, is that people are so busy looking forward of new ways of doing things, they forget about the old trusted ways, how things were built with strength and with integrity, and like loads of character. And it's like natural resilience. So yeah, so the pressure is higher and natural resilience is lower. So that's why we're in such a battle nowadays.
You know, I like what you were talking about with the tension. Like most things in life should be held in that tension, of of something positive and something negative, because it pushes you forward. Makes you move up into other levels. It challenges the way that you're thinking, and the comfortable level that you're in right now. You should be constantly progressing, and that is like so not done right now. In fact, I don't know for sure like how the culture is over there, but over here, like you're encouraged to not even do that, because that's like offensive, to challenge somebody about how they're thinking about things, or how they perceive reality. To present another option, like, that there could be more than one way to view something, it's offensive, and it's not okay, because like you're saying, as you're going through life, having your fast food delivered to you, having your instant downloads and your binge watching marathons, real life is happening. And when those real life situations happen, then how are you going to withstand that? You've been spending your time so instant gratification minded, that now that you're not able to withstand the real things that are happening in life. And 2020 is such a profound example about that. This year has been hard on everybody, regardless of where you live and what you do and what your family makeup is like, what your upbringing was. It doesn't matter. So I really like what you're talking about there with your life coaching, Jamie, that you just started. You help specifically young kids, younger children. How do you teach them to deal with bullying? How do you teach them to deal with being different in a society that kind of wants you to kind of look a certain type of way? How do you deal with that? How do you, what do you do with your coaching with them?
Well, I literally show them and like lead by example. I show them what it is that I've been through. I show them how I've overcome the stuff, how I have used that. That unfortunately, listen, this is why we're in such a predicament, is because when you kind of say, listen, I want to help you with your bullying, and I said about the resistance in which I faced right at the start, like when I started offering my talks out to people and like organizations and establishments, and they said, listen, we don't want that on our curriculum because we don't have that problem here. And it's like when you talk about bullying, it's like all of a sudden proper shutdown, the defenses go up, like no, it doesn't. Guess what? Bullying happens everywhere. Bullying happens everywhere. And we're talking about in schools, colleges, universities. We're talking about in workplaces to do with adults. We're talking about in the home. This happens. So unfortunately, I can't stop the bullying from happening. And that's what I tell the kids is, listen, I can't fight this fight for you. I can't stop this from happening. I can't walk this path for you, but I tell you what, I am going to fight this fight with you, and I'm going to walk this path with you as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's like I bring my own experiences. I say, look, you can't stop it from happening, but it's all about how you use it, right? And I can remember, right, so my first ever semi-professional kickboxing fight, right? I was 16 years old. I was 16. I weighed 13 and a half stone, and because of my weight, I was paired against a guy who was 25, and I'm 16 to 25. So the first round, so when you start out, there's only 3 rounds of fighting, right? So the first round, I come out like a whirlwind. Boom, 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 boom. I won the first round. Second round, I was gassed out, and this guy absolutely took me to the cleaners. So then I come out for the third and final round, and it's about who wants it the most. So it was a case of I came through, I won the fight, and I can remember coming out, and because it was held in my high school leisure center, that's where the event was being held. A lot of my friends were in the crowd. Now it was only 5 or 6 months before that I had literally left school, so it was like a lot of my friends were there supporting me, and a lot of the kids who were there that just attended the high school. As I came down, now if you can imagine, my boxing gloves have been taken off. I've got the winner's trophy, I'm still in the hand wraps, and it was I come down, and then I saw him. I saw my bully because he had been taken out of the school kind of 2 years prior, but he was in the audience. So all of a sudden now I've changed, haven't I? He has just seen me go to war with a 25-year-old. And it's now I'm properly ripped, and, looking at business, I'm coming out sweating. And it's just I've like coming out like a warrior. So I'm coming towards him and I can see the color drain from his face. So it was like, I went over and he was scared. He was scared, but I put my hand out and I literally shook his hand and I said, thank you. I leaned in and I said, thank you. And he was like, what? I said, thank you. I said, because when we had to go to war, like when I had to go to war then, I was thinking about the things to get me through. And do you know what? Funnily enough, your face was one of them. What you used to do to me is what I was thinking about to get me through that third and final round to become the victor. So that's what I'm saying to these kids is I'm sorry that I can't stop this from happening. I'm so sorry that I can't take it away. But I'm telling you now, listen, you can use it in the most positive and productive way to become a champion at the end, to like to use it in the most positive and productive way, because you can't stop it from happening, but you can choose how you react to it. So we look at how we can use it to actually combine with their talents, to combine with their skills, to then actually progress in life. Because I want to take away like the psychological hurt of it, because like I say, the boy was taken out of the school like 2 years prior, but I was still thinking about it. I was still thinking about him. But I used it to my advantage. And that was training for me for like natural mental toughness, like natural mental resilience, because now it doesn't matter what people say about me, what people do. And it's like, I will turn it into a positive no matter what. And if I can do it, then so can other people, because there's nothing special about me. It's just because I decide to. It's because I choose to. And whether we know it or not, we have that choice. We have that choice of whether we look through the debris to get to the diamonds, or whether we just stand there looking at the rubble thinking, oh, it's not worth it. Everybody has that decision. Everybody has that choice. So I show them that by staying how I am, it's now benefiting me in my purpose, on my mission. It's now benefiting me because people remember me for who I am. And I say, like, listen, you're being bullied. Why? Because you're different. But don't ever change. Don't ever change, because you need to be different to make a difference in this world. That's the thing, is you need to be different to make the difference in this world. Like, no one has ever made a difference just by blending in. No one has ever made a difference just by falling by the wayside and just staying in with the crowd. Like you need to stand out. You need to stand out. So that's how I do it with like the youngsters. But like I say, listen, bullying happens in workplaces, and it's strange because I will go into schools and I will work with youngsters and talk about bullying to the youngsters, but then I get feedback from teachers who are getting bullied by other teachers. How about that? How messed up is that? So that shows like the kind of battle in which we're in, the fight in which we face, and what we need to do. Like it shows the opponent that's in front of us. But although the opponent may be daunting, it doesn't take away the excuse for us not to fight against it. So it doesn't matter what people are going through, what people are experiencing, whether it is the bullying, whether it is depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, whether it is grief, like we're talking about heartbreak. And it's like when I see my sister and my brother-in-law, which, to be honest, like, listen, there's no doubt about this, the worst pain you will ever feel in life is child loss. That's it, flat out, like nothing compares. And if my sister and my brother-in-law and my niece rise up and they literally create a foundation, the life-saving Connor Saunders Foundation, in his honor, then what excuse have I got not to do the same? Like, if people are doing it because their baby has been taken, like, what have I, like what excuse have I got to stand by and think, oh, it's not worth it? No, I'm going to go digging for them diamonds. Why? Because I need to be an advocate, a representative for my nephew and for my family, to show them that they can do it. When they're having a bad day, if they see me getting up and do it all, then they'll know that they need to get up, and vice versa. So we bounce off of each other. So yeah, listen, it doesn't matter what it is you're going through. You have the choice and the decision to make of whether you go to war with the opponent.
Yeah, that's so good, Jamie. I completely agree with what you're talking about too. You know, my life coaching primarily revolves around getting people out of narcissistic abuse, abusive relationships. And one of the things that a lot of times people feel is like that they can't do anything, that they don't have that everything that they need or that they could use that would help them to get out of that situation to build a new life is gone already. And like you're saying, it's in the rubble, it's in that mess. It's in it's in that mess where you're going to find the diamonds, and that is really important to like really go through, because everybody's rubble looks different. Everybody, the way that they pick out diamonds and that they use it for their own life is going to be different. And yeah, so I completely agree with what you're talking about. It's the way that you make a change too for society, which is another thing that lots of people want to do, is like, how do you change this? You start by changing your own life first, because you can't give away what you don't have. So if you don't have the blueprint for how to do it, you can't teach other people how to do it. And that's what I love about your story and what you're doing with the kids, and how you bring your message into, what you're saying, like teachers bullying other teachers, and into corporations, places where you maybe don't think that they would need to have this message or to hear this story. You're having such an impact there. If one person can take back their life and to change it and to really implement it in their life, that can be replicated. That can be, extrapolated out. So I love your message. Do you have anything else you want to say, or shall we move on?
No. And it's quite literally like just picking up from a point in which you said, Doc, that everybody's kind of like listen, so rubble is different. Like people's rubble is different. And then you look at the other way is by saying people's success is different as well. It's like we're under this kind of barrage that successful is literally the car in which you drive, the house in which you live in, the clothes in which you wear, and also how much money you got in the bank. But listen, I'm telling you that there's problems, there's tests, and there's challenges in life that you can't pay the problem off, no matter how much money you got in the bank. You can't put it in your Bugatti Veyron and tell it to keep on driving and never ever come back. You can't lock the problem in one of your bedrooms in a 6-bedroom mansion and like never go into that bedroom again. You can't show it your Armani suit or your Jimmy Choo shoes and it's impressed and it turns around and says, "Whoa, that's it, right? I'm going to leave you alone." No. It's all about the heart. It's all about the heart. The how much heart you got. How much heart have you got? Because a lot of people will seem successful in that kind of vision of what people have got and what they have and what they possess. But in an instant, boom, life will come along and take it away. So I need people to know that you are successful in so many different ways. Okay, so if you look at it with what you have in like the materialistic way, or the possessions in which you have and how many bedrooms you have and what kind of car you drive. But I'm telling people out there, listen, you're going through such trauma, and you're going through such deep trenches, and you're such in the pit and such in the darkness, that you are a success if you get out of bed in the morning and you function. Listen, if you're getting up, right, I need people to take the pressure off of themselves. They need to start giving themselves credit, because they need to start looking after themselves more in order to benefit others. And it's exactly like being in the aeroplane crash, where if like the cabin pressure goes down and it's like the oxygen mask fall down, they say, listen, put your own oxygen mask on first before you deal with your kids. If you're with your kids, you need to look after yourself in order to be the best benefit to other people. And that's why, listen, you are successful if you're getting up and getting out of bed and you're functioning. I need you to take the pressure off of yourself, because you are a success if you put food in your kids' stomachs, if you put clothes on their back and you are calling them by their name and you are engaging with them, not just putting them in front of the electronic babysitter. Because listen, I deal with kids that are going through such trauma that they're not just verbally and physically aggressive to like teachers or their mums and dads or elders anymore. No. What they're doing is they're sitting in classrooms. They're sitting in classrooms and they're soiling themselves. They're doing dirty protests on the wall. Some of them are actually eating their own feces. It's like that's the level. That's the level of trauma. Like that's the level of destruction and dysfunctionality that some of these kids, some of these youngsters are being exposed to. So you need to know that even though you're going through the pain, even though you're going through the darkness, if you're calling your kids by name, because in a lot of schools now, so many kids are even calling the teachers mum and dad, because they're more of a parental figure to them than their own actual flesh and blood. But you will go in and you will say their name, and they've got perfect hearing. But you'll say their name, and it takes them a while. It takes them a while to kind of connect and to like you'll say it 4 or 5 times. Why? Because their name at home isn't used enough. They will either be just shouted at, belittled, beaten, hurt, and they won't say their name in any kind of positive form. No positive reinforcement. No kind of praise. Nothing like that. That I need you to know that you're doing an amazing job. That regardless of what it is that you're going through, be it post-traumatic stress disorder, be it this depression, anxiety, grief, if you're getting up and you're still looking your baby's ear in the eye, if you're still getting up and you're giving them your time and your energy, and you're putting one foot in front of the other, then you're a success. You are a success. Trust me on that.
Yeah, that's good, Jamie. Somebody wrote in with a question. What would you say if somebody is suicidal? Somebody wrote in that they're a teenager and their friend is suicidal. What should they do?
Okay. So it's one of them that you need to let them know that in essence, you do not want your life to end. You want your life as you know it to end. So you need to show them that there is possibilities and potential for them to change their life, because in essence, you do not want your actual life to end. You want your life as you know it to end. So you want something to change, right? You want to get them out of the darkness. Like, you need to show them care. You need to show them understanding. You need to show compassion. You need to let them know that you are there, that you need to let them know that how much you believe in them, right? You need to tell them, like, again, I can't walk this for you, but I'm going to walk it with you. John, you understand what I'm saying? That it's like so many people that get to that point think that there's no other purpose, that there's no other reason. You need to let them know their purpose. You need to let them know that what they're doing is incredible, because this is the problem in which we face now. Because like, a lot of these youngsters will say, like, I just want to come out into the world, want to make an impact. I want to put one video out there, go viral, and take over the world. And it's like, if that doesn't happen, then they think they're failing. They think that they have no value, no worth. That they're following the wrong people. Like, they're following like the musicians and the film stars and the rappers and the music, like, that come in and will most probably take their money, but they don't give anything back. And it's like, you need to start putting your focus and your energy in like the right places. So it kind of takes away their value and their worth and their purpose. They think that they've got nothing. They think they've got nothing left to give the world. But listen, the talking which I do on like the suicide, where I bring one film in particular into it, man, it brings the message like you wouldn't believe. And that's it shows them the possibilities. It shows them the potential that they have, and the little things that they do mean the most. And they need to know that there's little brothers and sisters looking up at them, that there's family members that would be so distraught, so destroyed if they weren't here. Like, and I say to them, look, if you can imagine your pain that you've got right now, I've got nothing. I said, imagine timesing that by 10 and passing it on to the people that you love. And I say, look, do you love your mum and dad? Do you love your family? Yeah, absolutely. I said, would you want to give them the pain? And then they're like, no, of course not. And I said, well, you not being here, that's what it brings. That's what it brings. And you need to know that would be the consequence of your actions. So you need to know, like, you need to choose and choose wisely. But if you decide now to start digging for the diamonds in amongst the debris and in amongst the destruction, then you will get the reward. I promise you. And then that's when they kind of shift their thinking. That, okay, listen, this opponent is in front of me. This opponent of low self-worth, so low self-value, like low self-esteem, like just no purpose, like no hope. I say to them, listen, just the smallest amount of hope, because hope brings the message, because it's hold on, because pain ends. Hope, hold on, pain ends. And it will be, it may be a week, maybe a month, maybe a year, but I'm telling you, this pain will end, and you will be thankful that you made this right decision. But in essence, you do not want your life to end. You want your life as you know it to end, so it can be changed and it can be fixed.
That's good. I like that. Hold on, because the pain ends. That's really good, Jamie. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think what else do you want to share? Tell people how we can find out about you, how they can get in contact with you. Would you do that and share whatever else you want to share before we end today? Thank you so much for coming on, by the way. Yeah.
Oh
So
no,
tell everybody how we can get
it's a
in contact
blessing.
with you.
But yeah, I'm big on kind of like social media. Like I use it in a very, very positive and productive way. Anybody that's on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, it's at Grief Preacher. It's all one word, Grief Preacher. That was a name that was given to me inside a prison when I went in, and yeah, it was given to me by one of the inmates, and it's like a name that stuck. But yeah, Grief Preacher, at Grief Preacher, and it's Jamie Denyer via Facebook. And like I say, like I what people need to know is in life, the only promise that I can make to you is people will break their promises to you. So it's like when you think about like the things that people that people have let you down with, right? You can't stop that, right? That's the only promise that I can make to you is people will break their promises to you. But I make promises to people where I say, if you reach out to me, I will get back to you. I promise. I make time, and I get back to you. I get back to you because I literally do it as like a promise. I said, I am going to get back to you. I am going to get back to you. And that's why that is so important. I am is so important for me because it's only 3 letters, but 2 words, very, very powerful. Like whatever you put after I am, that will determine your destiny. I am going to fight this opponent. I am going to give it everything that I've got. I am going to make better decisions. I am going to look through like the debris to get to the diamonds. I am going to give it a fight. Like I am going to change things. I am going to do this for my fan. And you back it up, because this is the thing, like coming from a professional public speaker, like this may sound strange, but talk is cheap. You have to back it up with your actions. So that's what you have to do, is you then have to back it up. But if you say, I am not going to fight the opponent, I am not going to look for the diamonds, I'm not going to put any effort, I'm not, then you'll see how your life will turn out. But it became so special to me when the I am was stated. The I am was stated at the time when my nephew was on his intensive care unit bed, and the doctor said that we can't do anything more for him. That's it. He's gone. He's forever asleep. That's when I held his head, I kissed his forehead, and I whispered into his ear, Connor, I am going to look after your family as best I can. I won't let them fall. People will know your name. And now even here, people that I don't even know, like people like around the world will now know the name Connor Charles Edward Saunders, because I made him a promise. I made him a promise to declare his name. And it's a promise that I'm keeping. It's a promise that I don't want to keep. I wish I never had to make the promise, but it's one of them that, again, you can't do anything about what comes to you. Like you can only do about how you react to it. So I'm keeping that promise, and guess what? It's benefiting me. So that's what you need to do. You need to keep the promises. Make the promise to yourself, I am, and then put a promise after it, dot, 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 whatever is applicable to you, and keep it, back it up with your actions, because other people will break their promises to you. Don't go breaking promises to yourself. And I am becomes a verbal declaration. It becomes a verbal contract, a verbal statement. It's like you stepping up to the plate and say, listen, I am going to do this. And if you are going through the darkness, if you are going through the trenches, listen, I need you to take the ego away from yourself. And this is like, this just hurts me, that this just affects me. No. You take the ego away from yourself, because when you think about yourself in this situation, you will only ever operate at 75%. Like you need to start thinking about other people. If I don't get up and fight this opponent, how will it affect my kids? How will it affect? Because people will say, listen, a massive question that I will start saying to people is, or I will ask is, would you die for your kids? Would you die? Oh, of course I would. Listen, I don't want people to die for their kids. I want people to start living for their kids. Listen, if you would give your life up in a second for your kids, then you best start living for your kids. How about that? How about that? Like, that's what you need to do, is you need to fight this opponent. You need to fight this opponent and do that for your kids. So you need to literally, like, what I take as like the ultimate kind of like example and symbol that I teach people is all about a helping hand. Because when my nephew was taken down to donate his organs, 5 imprints of his hands were taken, each one of them different and unique, with the amount of ink that was applied to his hand and how much pressure was applied. I mean, I've got one, his mum and dad's got one, sister's got one, his brother's got one, and his nan's got one. So we've all got like an imprint each. And it's very symbolic, because it was a hand that took his life, but it's also a helping hand to other people that's saying, listen, listen to this word, like listen to these examples, like, and you will be prepared for life. But it's exactly the same as, listen, if you're drowning at sea and I come along in a boat and I offer a helping hand, I will go so far. It's up to you to reach up and grab back. That's what it's all about. If a helping hand is offered to you, it's up to you to take it, people. And listen, start making promises to yourself and to your family, and you start keeping, and you'll see your life change beyond measure. Because if not you, then who's going to make it? And if not now, then when? And listen, from this moment on, like every single one of you has got the choice to make the rest of your life the best of your life.
Yeah, that's really good. I like what you said about setting an example for your kids too, because part of it is teaching the younger generation that life is going to be traumatic. It's going to, there's not always going to be great days. You're going to have to learn how to deal with the hard days. And if they don't have an example of that, how will they ever learn that? So I like what you're going after there, Jamie. Thanks so much for coming on. Do you want to share anything else before we head off?
No. I think that's it. Just literally, thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Like, thank you for allowing me to come on. And I know that you haven't been too well either, Doc. So listen, that shows natural resilience. And listen, you're doing amazing work. And it was something that, again, right, just very, very quickly, like, we don't want to go through these lessons in which we learn in life, but it's not what we want. It's all about what we need. And it was like last year that I was involved in a very controlling, like narcissistic, physically abusive relationship. And it got to the point that when the physical abuse came in, that was time for me to go out. Right. I didn't want to experience that, but it was one of life's lessons that I still had to learn. So do you know what? That will give me not just sympathy for future partners, but empathy. Empathy is the lifesaver, right? Sympathy is a life changer. Having sympathy for someone is a life changer, but having empathy and understanding, because this, as you well know, like you know better than me, Doc. But at the end of the day, this seems all too common now. This seems all too common, and as a man, taking that from a female was massive. But you know what? It was just the last lesson that I needed to learn in order for me to have empathy for a future partner. Because if she had gone through that, I can now say, do you know what? I don't just have sympathy for you, but I have empathy for you, and I understand how traumatic that was. But that would have been to a more severe degree that she would have experienced it. But I just got that flavor of understanding, and that's a lesson. So the work in which you do is phenomenal, Doc. So keep on going, please. Keep on going.
Oh, thanks, Jamie. Yeah, that's so good too about about saying that. You have to recognize that the lessons that you're going through in life are exactly what you need. They're made for you. Those lessons that you're facing right now are the ones that you need in order to pull out the greatness that's in you. That greatness that never comes out during the easy times. Yeah. It only comes out during the hard times. And yeah, I can definitely say that from personal.
That's it. And please, like, please don't take it personal. Don't take it personal. It's like people are thinking like life's got it in for me. Like, this person, this abuse, this kind of vile behavior is kind of because of me. No. It's because of them. It's like their insecurities. It's their battle. It's their bitterness. It's their hatred. It's them. It's nothing to do with you. But the stuff that comes in life, also, it's nothing personal. It's not about what you attract and about what you're bringing into your life. Do you know what? I know some of the most amazing people where life has just gone boom and just smashed them to pieces because, just out of nowhere. It's what life does. So don't take it personal, and stop saying, why me? Start turning around, facing up to the opponent and saying, come on then, try me. That's it. But don't take it personal.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good point, Jamie, for sure. Yeah, everybody's going through hard times. It all just looks different. Like I said, those lessons are made for you. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. You guys, please go follow Jamie. He's got awesome posts on his Instagram. He's got a YouTube channel. You've got Facebook. Jamie, you're on all of the platforms. I think you're on LinkedIn.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, follow me. Like I say, in whichever means necessary, reach out to me. I always get back. Because I haven't come here to be served. I've come here to serve. This is my purpose. This is it, and this is what's been bestowed upon my shoulders. So I'm not going to turn that purpose away. So if anybody needs me, people going through the darkness right now, and if I can bring a tiny little bit of light, then that's what I'm going to do.
Wow. Jamie, thank you so much for doing what you do, for being who you are. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it so much. You guys go follow Jamie once again. Share this broadcast with anybody who might need it. And I'll